There comes a sacred moment in every life, a quiet hour when the lights fade, the noise of the world recedes, and the conscious mind loosens its grip on the day's events. In this soft passage between wakefulness and sleep, the true course of your healing is shaped. Though the body lies still upon the bed, the mind becomes a fertile field where unseen seeds are sown. Each night, without fail, your subconscious absorbs the final impressions you leave, the tone of your last thoughts, the echo of your words, the emotions you carry as you drift toward rest. Whether you realize it or not, you have been whispering to yourself every night of your life, sometimes with spoken words, sometimes with silent feelings, and your body has been responding with exact obedience. In this inner battlefield, neutrality does not exist. The mind is always planting, either the seeds of strength, restoration, and harmony, or the weeds of fear, fatigue, and disorder. Just as a gardener cannot expect roses to grow from thorns, you cannot expect vibrant health to spring from a mind overshadowed by bitterness or despair. The subconscious, like soil, is impartial. It produces only what is planted within it. If you carry into sleep the burdens of the day or an unspoken dread of tomorrow, you unintentionally hand your subconscious the pattern of decline rather than renewal. Yet here lies the promise. You can choose differently. Scripture reminds us, "Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night. Night is not a terror, but a temple." In that sacred stillness, when the conscious gates are unguarded, the infinite presence of healing moves most freely. Enter that temple with intention, and the same power that created the body begins its work of restoration. This is why the hours before sleep are precious, the golden hours of subconscious imprint. Picture your mind then as a night gardener, lantern in hand, carefully tending the soil. Each word is a seed, each mental image a drop of water, each feeling of gratitude a ray of sunlight. The gardener does not question the soil or disturb the seeds, but trusts the law of life to bring them forth. In the same way, your gentle affirmations before sleep are absorbed by the subconscious and set to work through every nerve, tissue, and cell. This is why the hidden battlefield of night is not a place of fear, but of victory. It is where healing is secured long before morning arrives. If you enter it not with anxiety, but with the sword of truth and the shield of faith, you will awaken to discover the infinite has labored for you in secret. Tonight, you are not merely going to bed. You are stepping onto holy ground, where divine life is planted into every cell you possess. Affirmation to carry forward. As I rest, the infinite healing presence moves through me, restoring me to perfect health. Why do your cells seem to mirror the deepest convictions of your heart? Because the body, in all its wonder, is not a detached machine reacting only to diet or exercise, but a living reflection of the patterns you hold within your subconscious. Each cell listens to the silent broadcast of your thoughts and feelings. And since the hour of your birth, you have been transmitting without pause. The ancients called the heart the seat of belief, not just the physical organ, but the core of your being, the subconscious itself. It governs the harmony or discord of your whole system. When you believe deeply and with conviction that you are whole, guided and strong, your cells accept that instruction as law, arranging themselves into patterns of vitality. When you believe, instead, that you are weak, burdened, or destined to decline, they follow with the same loyalty, and the body manifests the blueprint it has been given. This truth is humbling and liberating. Humbling because it removes the illusion that suffering is entirely imposed by fate. Liberating because it shows the key to transformation is not in reshaping the outer world, but in renewing the inner image you hold of yourself. The philosopher may say, the body is the shadow of the mind upon the screen of matter, and if the shadow displeases, one must adjust the object that casts it. Joseph Murphy taught that every thought is a biochemical command, altering the blood's chemistry, the balance of hormones, and the rhythm of the heart. Science confirms what sages long taught, that emotions and beliefs send signals throughout the body, opening or closing the pathways of healing. Fear restricts, gratitude expands, resentment hardens, love restores. Think of your cells as a vast choir, millions of voices singing the song you provide. If your inner song is one of faith, joy, and trust, the harmony fills you with life. If the song is one of doubt, bitterness, and despair, it becomes discord that drains your strength. The beauty is that the choir is ready to change its tune. Instantly, it does not cling to the past, but responds to the present note you strike. This is why the quiet whispers before sleep are so powerful. They set the key for the entire orchestra of your body, ensuring your cells sing of health, peace, and order. When you realize this, you stop seeing the body as an enemy to be fought or a machine to be forced. Instead, you see it as a faithful servant of the greater law of mind, eager to carry out the instructions you choose. Healing, then, is no longer about pleading with the body to improve, but about speaking directly to the subconscious, which delivers the message to every cell. You do not condemn your body for its present state. You inspire it with a vision of what it is meant to be. This is the art of spiritual healing, to impress the subconscious so clearly and lovingly with the image of perfection that the body has no choice but to reflect it. So tonight, as you prepare to speak life-giving words into the silence, remember, every syllable will travel to the farthest reaches of your being, where each cell is waiting to take the command and weave it into your health. Affirmation to carry forward. The life of God flows through every cell of my being, restoring me to perfect health. But before you can direct this healing presence, you must become aware of the quiet intruders that may have been planting seeds of disorder within your subconscious for years. These 4 saboteurs, fear, guilt, resentment, and self-pity, are not mere passing moods. These are deeply rooted patterns of thought and emotion that flow directly into the bloodstream of the mind. Fear comes first, and perhaps it is the most deceptive, for it is faith turned upside down, faith in disaster rather than in divine order. Fear whispers its toxic suggestions in the night. What if I don't recover? What if tomorrow brings bad news? What if my strength fails? Because the subconscious responds just as readily to fear as it does to faith, such questions, left unchecked, stir currents of anxiety that slowly weaken the body's vital energy. Next comes guilt, a quiet but persistent tyrant. It convinces you that you are undeserving of health, peace, or happiness. It dredges up old mistakes, magnifies them, and holds them before your mind's eye as if to say, this is why you must suffer. Yet the subconscious is not punitive, it is creative. It only binds you to the past if you repeatedly reinforce remorse. Without release, forgiveness, both of yourself and others, is the cleansing river that dissolves this weight. Until you let it flow, guilt drains vitality from the body and fastens an invisible burden upon every cell. Resentment, the 3rd saboteur, is like drinking poison and expecting another person to die. When you hold bitterness towards someone, whether for a small offense or a great one, you preserve an image of that grievance in your subconscious, played again and again in the inner theater. It keeps the emotional state inflamed and the body tense. Cells that live under constant tension cannot function in their natural order. They become like soldiers on endless alert, consuming energy meant for healing. To release resentment is to free yourself from a prison built by your own thoughts, allowing love to enter the places where darkness once ruled. And then comes self-pity, the quiet, self-defeating voice that asks, why me? No one understands. My struggle is harder than anyone else's. Self-pity turns your gaze inward, not toward the infinite, but toward an image of yourself as powerless and alone. Held long enough, that image is impressed on the subconscious, which faithfully creates conditions to match it. The danger of self-pity lies in its false comfort. It seems to justify suffering, yet it binds you even more to the very state you wish to escape. Think of these 4 saboteurs as drops of poisoned ink in a clear stream. At first, the change is hardly visible, but over time, the entire current becomes tainted. The water no longer nourishes. Instead, it spreads subtle toxins wherever it flows. In the same way, these hidden patterns, if unchallenged, cloud the life force within you, affecting every organ and function. The liberating truth is this: the stream can be cleansed, the ink dispersed, the water restored to purity. The nightly whisper is more than affirmation. It is medicine, a divine remedy given in the receptive hours of the night when the subconscious is most open. By replacing fear with faith, guilt with forgiveness, resentment with love, and self-pity with gratitude, you open the floodgates of healing and allow divine life to move freely through every cell. Affirmation to carry forward. I now release all fear, guilt, resentment, and self-pity. The love and life of God flow freely through me, cleansing and restoring every part of my being. Let me draw your attention to a story, one I have witnessed in many variations over the years. It shows clearly how even the strongest desire for healing can be undermined by contradictions hidden in the mind. There was a man, let's call him Daniel, whose body had been troubled for months by a persistent illness. He tried treatments, followed routines, and repeated affirmations he had found in books, yet his condition stubbornly remained. One evening he came to me, weary in body and spirit, and said, "I speak words of healing, but nothing changes." I asked him to repeat his nightly affirmations. "I am healthy, I am strong." The words sounded fine, but in his voice I heard a faint tremor, a quiet disbelief that undermined their meaning. I asked him what thoughts followed these affirmations. He admitted that almost every night after closing his eyes, doubt would return. What if the doctors were right? What if this cannot be reversed? What if I am deceiving myself and there lay the problem? His conscious mind was planting seeds of health, yet only moments later it scattered seeds of doubt into the same soil. The subconscious, faithful and impartial, received both and began to grow them together, producing a harvest of contradiction. It is like a farmer who plants rows of wheat one day, only to scatter thistle seeds among them the next. Could he expect a pure crop? Could he be surprised when both crops sprang up together, choking each other? Daniel's healing did not begin with stronger affirmations, but with a pure one. Something his subconscious could embrace without conflict. Instead of declaring, "I am perfectly healthy," which clashed with his present reality and triggered inner doubt, I guided him toward a phrase that was both honest to his current faith and broad enough to lead him toward full recovery. The healing life of God is flowing through me now, and each day I grow stronger. This wording bypassed his conscious resistance, allowing the subconscious to accept it as natural and possible. I asked him to whisper it slowly before sleep, feeling each word as though releasing it like a dove into the quiet of the night. Within days, he noticed subtle changes: deeper sleep, lighter mornings, and a small but steady increase in vitality. Encouraged, he continued. Over time, the phrase became more than words. It became his lived reality. Doubt no longer rushed to contradict him. Instead, his mind shifted, first to possibility, then to probability, and finally to certainty of recovery. Within 3 months, the ailment that had resisted every effort faded, not through an external miracle, but because the inner contradiction had dissolved. The subconscious was free to complete its work. The lesson is simple but powerful. The subconscious responds not to words alone, but to the belief they carry. When belief is divided, when lips declare one thing but the heart feels another, the result is confusion and delay. But when words and inner conviction align, even modestly, the creative power within moves unhindered toward fulfillment. Your nightly whisper should not be chosen for how impressive it sounds to the conscious ear, but for how deeply it can be received by the silent depths of the mind. Affirmation to carry forward. The healing life of God is flowing through me now, and I rest in the certainty of its perfect work. Before entering this sacred practice of whispering life into your being, you must learn the importance of closing the gate of doubt before sleep. Doubt is a thief that slips into the temple of the subconscious, scattering the treasures you have laid upon its altar. Even a fleeting thought, will this work? What if I decline overnight? What if I'm fooling myself? Can blow away the seeds you have carefully planted. This is why the hours before sleep must be treated as holy ground, a time to prepare not only the body, but the mind. If you allow the clutter of arguments, worries, or disappointments to follow you into bed, you are trying to plant seeds in soil already filled with thorns. Closing the gate of doubt is both symbolic and practical. I often recommend the ritual of pre-sleep journaling, not as a record of complaints, but as a conscious release of burdens. Before lying down, take a few minutes to write every worry, every unresolved problem, every trace of doubt. Do not analyze them or pass judgment, simply place them on the page as if giving them into the hands of the infinite. When finished, close the journal and say, silently or aloud, "These matters are now given to the infinite intelligence within me. They are no longer mine to carry." In that moment, the gate is closed. The noise of the day is left behind, and only the quiet certainty of healing enters the sanctuary of your rest. This is not sentiment, it is deliberate conditioning of the subconscious. The mind responds to closure, to symbolic acts that mark an ending and a beginning. By repeating this ritual, night after night, you train your subconscious to recognize the boundary between the active world of effort and the receptive world of sleep. You signal to yourself that you are stepping away from noise and into the quiet chamber where the voice of God speaks in whispers. And in that chamber, only words of health, peace, and divine order are permitted. Once the gate is closed, you can speak your healing whisper with full attention and pure receptivity. No stray thought interrupts, no shadow intrudes. The subconscious, free of contradiction, receives the whispered truth and carries it deep into the blueprint of your body. There it works quietly, cell by cell, organ by organ, weaving wholeness into your being. And by morning, you rise not only rested but renewed, for the night has completed its perfect work. Affirmation to carry forward. I close the gate of doubt and open the way for the infinite healing presence to renew me through the night. The law of belief is the unseen architecture upon which your entire life rests. It operates constantly, whether you acknowledge it or not. The ancient record says, "According to your faith, be it done unto you." Not according to fleeting wishes or desperate pleas, but according to the conviction held quietly in your heart. Faith, as Joseph Murphy taught, is not a fragile hope tossed by circumstance. It is the steady certainty that what you accept as true in the subconscious must, by law, appear in your life. This explains why some prayers seem unanswered. Not because God withholds, but because the mind has not fully accepted the answer as already given. To grasp the law of belief is to realize that you are always praying, for your dominant mental state is itself a constant petition to the infinite. If, night after night, you lie down assuming your ailment is stronger than life within you, that belief becomes your prayer, and the subconscious expresses it faithfully. But if you rest with quiet assurance that divine presence is at work, renewing every cell, that becomes your prayer, and the subconscious begins weaving that reality into your body. The law does not discriminate between belief in illness and belief in health. It produces whichever seed carries the stronger feeling. This is why the whisper before sleep holds such power. It is not empty repetition, but a deliberate planting of belief in the richest soil of the mind. In that drowsy threshold, between waking and sleep, the conscious guard relaxes, and suggestions clothed in feeling pass directly into the subconscious. What you whisper in that moment is not doubted, not argued. It is received as fact. Once accepted, the law of belief works upon it silently, just as a seed transforms in the earth into a blade, a stalk, and eventually a harvest. But remember, you cannot plant a seed in the evening and dig it up in the morning to see if it has grown. That is not faith. That is suspicion disguised as caution. The gardener plants and rests, trusting that the same life that animates the seed sustains all living things. In the same way, you must plant your healing whisper and then rest in assurance that it is already taking root in the unseen. To believe is to release is to trust, and to trust is to align yourself with the eternal law that creates worlds and restores health. Every whisper before sleep adds another layer of certainty to your faith. Over time, this foundation grows so strong that no challenge can shake it. Affirmation. To carry forward, I believe in the healing presence of God within me, and by my faith it is fulfilled. The subconscious mind, your quiet but constant companion, is the most loyal servant you will ever know. It never sleeps or tires. It does not question your instructions or hesitate to act. It simply carries them out to the best of its ability. In the language of Scripture, this inner intelligence has often been called the Lord, for it governs the entire system of your being. Your conscious mind acts as the captain, scanning the horizon and setting direction. The subconscious, like the crew, works tirelessly to follow those orders, steering your body and life along the chosen path. When the captain gives a clear course towards safety, the crew adjusts every sail and rudder to reach that destination. But if orders are inconsistent, east one moment, west the next, the result is confusion and drift. This is why both your words and the emotions behind them are so significant. The subconscious does not just hear spoken phrases. It responds to tone, conviction, and persistent feeling. You may say, "I am healthy," but if your dominant inner emotion is fear or weakness, the subconscious accepts that as truth. On the other hand, if you say, "The healing life of God flows through me now," with genuine conviction and gratitude, the subconscious recognizes it as an instruction and begins working toward its fulfillment. Imagine a captain who knows his crew's loyalty. He would not shout in panic, for fear only unsettles those who serve him. Instead, he speaks with calm authority, inspiring trust. In the same way, speak to your subconscious not as a tyrant, but as a wise leader, clear, steady, and confident. Before sleep, when the conscious mind relaxes, the subconscious is most receptive. In those moments, your whispered words act as final orders for the night. They will be carried out while you sleep, guiding you closer to health with each new dawn. This is the deeper meaning of the scriptural phrase, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart." To trust in the Lord is to trust in the faithfulness of your subconscious when aligned with divine truth. Once you give a clear, confident instruction, the subconscious works without pause until your desired outcome takes shape, whether it is health, peace, or renewed vitality. Affirmation to carry forward. My subconscious is my faithful servant, carrying out the divine design of perfect health within me. Words are not empty sounds. They are living seeds, carrying the power to reproduce after their own kind. Ancient wisdom expressed this in the phrase, "The Word became flesh and dwelt among us." What is spoken into the subconscious eventually becomes visible reality. When you whisper before sleep, you are planting seeds in the most fertile soil of your being, and like any seed, it requires more than planting. It needs repetition, which is water, the warmth of gratitude and conviction, which is sunlight, and patience, which allows unseen life to stir before it appears outwardly. This is why a soft whisper works so well. It bypasses mental noise and speaks directly to the deeper self. Harsh commands create resistance, but a gentle, sincere word creates cooperation. Whispering before sleep is like placing a sacred offering on the inner altar of your life, done with care, reverence, and certainty. Once received, the subconscious immediately begins its work, summoning resources, adjusting conditions, even influencing the body at the cellular level until harmony is restored. Repetition strengthens this process, building momentum until results become as certain as sunrise. Understand this: creativity responds not to noise, but to consistency. A single phrase spoken once and forgotten is like a seed scattered on rocky ground, but a phrase repeated nightly with sincerity and expectation takes deep root in the subconscious. Since the subconscious must express what it accepts as true, the day inevitably comes when the body reflects the health that has been planted within thought. Affirmation to carry forward. Every word I speak before sleep is a living seed, and my body brings forth its harvest in perfect health. There is a threshold between wakefulness and sleep, a sacred twilight when the conscious mind loosens its grip and the subconscious rises. Joseph Murphy called this the golden doorway. In this state, reasoning grows quiet and impressions sink into the subconscious without resistance. This is why the moments before sleep should not be wasted on worry, distractions, or replaying the day's troubles. Doing so hands the night over to seeds of fear instead of seeds of faith. The body itself signals this transition. Muscles relax, breath slows, eyelids grow heavy. The mind is not weaker here, but more open, free from rigid control. Mystics describe it as the thinning of the veil between the seen and unseen. In scientific terms, this is the threshold of the theta brainwave state, where suggestion becomes impression, and impression shapes the blueprint for future expression. Call it what you wish, but the effect remains the same. A word spoken here is not simply heard, it is received, accepted, and acted upon by the subconscious. This is the sacred ground where your whisper belongs. Do not let it be rushed or scattered. Let it be measured, steady, and infused with quiet confidence, as though you are speaking into the very fabric of your life. Your tone should be gentle, like a warm breeze over calm waters, carrying the message firmly but smoothly into the depths. As you whisper, allow your whole body to sink into rest, not in defeat, but in surrender. This is not surrender to weakness or fatigue, but to the infinite healing presence that now has free access to every cell, nerve, and tissue. This is the time to feel, not just to think, to rest in the awareness that healing is not a distant hope but a present reality unfolding quietly in the night. With practice, this transforms the nature of your evenings. Sleep becomes more than physical rest. It becomes a sacred exchange, a meeting between your conscious intent and the intelligence within. You may find yourself looking forward to these moments, cherishing the stillness as the outer world fades and the inner world awakens. When you rise, you will not feel as though you merely passed through unconscious hours, but as one who has communed with the divine and returned with renewed strength in every part of your being. Affirmation to carry forward. In the stillness. Before sleep, I enter sacred ground where my healing is assured. Before we go further into the practice of nightly healing, let us anchor ourselves with a brief transition affirmation. This acts as both bridge and seal between the activity of your waking hours and the restorative work of your sleep. Think of it as lighting the lamp in an inner sanctuary, the signal to the subconscious that the sacred work begins. This affirmation is chosen with care, crafted to speak directly to the healing presence within, to summon it into full activity, and to impress upon your mind that the process is already underway. The words are simple, for the subconscious does not require complexity, only clarity and consistency. The healing presence works through me now. Notice the present tense, works through me now. Not will work at some vague future time, nor has worked, as though confined to the past. The subconscious recognizes only the present moment. To speak it as current reality gives your mind an image of health already established and already flowing through you. The phrase works through me reminds you that healing is not imported from outside, but flows from the infinite source within, circulating through every part of your being. When you speak these words, do so slowly. Let each syllable settle into you like rain soaking into the soil. Whisper them aloud or silently within, but always with a feeling of trust. This is surrender, not as defeat, but as release into perfect faith. Imagine these words as a key turning in a lock, opening floodgates of light that pour through you. With each repetition, see that light moving through your bloodstream, touching every cell, restoring the original design of health already held within your subconscious. Repeat until you feel it take root, perhaps 3 times, perhaps more. You will know it has settled when your body relaxes, your breath deepens, and a quiet joy stirs within. At that moment, the conscious mind has yielded. The gate to the subconscious is open, and your healing whisper is working in the unseen depths, carried forward by the law of belief until it manifests outwardly. Affirmation to carry forward. The healing presence works through me now, and its perfect work is complete in every part of my being. Now we turn to crafting the healing whisper itself, the nightly seed you will plant in the fertile soil of the subconscious. This whisper must be alive with spiritual truth, expressed in words simple enough to pass the conscious guard and enter directly into the deeper levels where life is shaped. A pleasant phrase is not enough. The words must carry authority, love, and clarity so the subconscious can accept them without resistance. After guiding many through mental and spiritual renewal, I offer you a phrase proven by countless experiences of healing. Every cell, nerve, and tissue of my body is filled with divine life. Notice its structure. It speaks not in vague terms of health, but directly to the living parts of your body. Every cell, nerve, and tissue. Nothing is overlooked. It is comprehensive, like a master builder restoring a cathedral piece by piece. By naming each part, you call your inner system into harmony, like a conductor guiding every section of the orchestra. At the heart of the phrase is filled with divine life, now, not will be, which pushes the promise into an unreachable future, nor was, which confines it to memory. Now is the only time the subconscious accepts as real, and what fills you is not ordinary energy, but divine life, the incorruptible essence of creation itself. This life knows no illness, no weakness, no decay. When it fills you, it restores. The perfection with which you were first made. When you whisper these words, let them flow through you like a current. Feel them as truth in this moment, because to the subconscious, they already are. As soon as you impress them upon your inner mind with conviction, they begin to reshape the unseen patterns that govern your body. Speak them gently, with a rhythm in harmony with your breath, so the conscious mind grows quiet and the words sink deeper, resting in the innermost part of you. This is not a time for force or strain, but for calm authority, as one aligning with eternal law, In time, you may notice the words gaining texture, perhaps warmth spreading through your body, a lightness in your limbs, or a quiet joy arising within. These are signs the subconscious has accepted your instruction and has begun its work. Remember, this whisper does not create healing from nothing. It calls forth what already exists in the infinite storehouse within you and allows it to flow into visible expression in your body. Affirmation to carry forward. Every cell, nerve, and tissue of my body is filled with divine life now, and that life restores me to perfect health. Once you have chosen the words of your healing whisper, it is essential to learn how to saturate them with the emotional force that transforms language into living truth. For the subconscious does not respond to empty words spoken without feeling. The subconscious responds not only to words, but to the tone, mood, and feeling behind them. You may speak the finest affirmation, but if it is delivered without warmth, without conviction, it falls on the mind like a dry seed scattered on barren ground. Yet when the same words are spoken with inner light, clothed in love, gratitude, and expectation, they sink deeply, take root, and begin reshaping the hidden patterns that govern your body. To build this emotional depth, pause before you whisper. Slow your breathing, close your eyes, and turn inward as though listening for the faintest sound in a silent room. Before speaking, summon the feeling you would have if your healing were already complete. Imagine freedom in your body, ease in your breath, and lightness in your step. Feel joy not as a distant wish, but as a present reality. This is the fertile ground into which your words fall. The richer the soil, the stronger the roots. When you speak, do so as though addressing a trusted friend who holds the power to fulfill your request. In truth, the subconscious is just that. Let your tone be calm but steady, like offering a blessing that cannot fail. As you say, every cell, nerve, and tissue of my body is filled with divine life. Allow an image to arise, a golden light, flowing through you, touching every part of your being. See it move with purpose like a river of sunlight, cleansing, nourishing, restoring. Feel its warmth in your chest, its tingling in your hands, its steady rhythm in your breath. Each repetition paints this picture deeper on the canvas of your mind until it becomes not imagination, but memory, a memory of truth that has always been. This is what it means to saturate the subconscious, not by endless repetition hoping words will force their way in, but by infusing them with felt reality until the inner mind cannot resist. Once the subconscious accepts this image and emotion as true, it calls upon every level of your being, physical, mental, and spiritual, to bring it forth in waking life. You may not trace the exact steps by which healing comes, but you will see its results, just as you trust a hidden seed to sprout in due season. Affirmation to carry forward. I speak my healing words with love, joy, and certainty, and my subconscious accepts them now as living reality. Breath is the bridge between conscious and subconscious, the silent messenger carrying your inner state to every cell. When you align breath with your healing whisper, words are no longer just spoken, they merge with the rhythm of life itself. Inhale becomes receiving, exhale becomes releasing. Together, they form a perfect cycle of renewal. As you breathe in, imagine drawing in the luminous life of God. As you breathe out, let go of pain, tension, and fatigue. This nightly rhythm becomes a living ritual, instructing your subconscious clearly. Welcome the new, release the old, restore balance. To begin, lie comfortably, allowing your body to sink into the mattress as if held by the earth. Rest one hand on your chest or abdomen, not to control breath, but to feel it. Inhale slowly through the nose, imagining golden light filling you from head to toe, pausing briefly to savor its fullness. Then exhale through the mouth, releasing all remnants of fear, weakness, or illness, watching them dissolve into nothing. Now weave the whisper into this rhythm. As you inhale, softly say the first part. Every cell, nerve, and tissue of my body. Pause at the peak, sensing completeness. As the light fills you, as you exhale, complete the phrase, is filled with divine life. Let the breath carry these words deep into silence, where the subconscious receives them freely. Continue for several minutes, letting breath and whisper merge until it feels as natural as the tides ebb and flow. This practice not only calms the body for rest, but also imprints the affirmation more deeply by linking it with life's most fundamental act. Breath is the first gift you receive at birth and the last you release at death. By using it consciously, you activate a force older than thought itself, a language the subconscious instantly understands. Each night you repeat this cycle, you train mind and body to respond to the healing whisper with immediate calm, openness, and alignment to divine order. Affirmation to carry forward. With every breath I receive divine life and release all that is unlike it. My whole being is renewed. Within you exists a perfect original design, a divine blueprint imprinted at creation. It is the pattern of health, vitality, and harmony conceived by infinite intelligence before your first cell was formed. This blueprint is never lost, though it may be obscured by false beliefs, emotional wounds, or years of imbalance. Like a cathedral weathered by centuries yet retaining its master plan, your body still carries the eternal design of its own perfection. The work of your healing whisper is to recall that blueprint from the archives of the subconscious and restore its pattern in every cell. As you close your eyes before sleep, visualize this divine template over your physical form. Picture a radiant, flawless version of yourself, every organ strong, every joint free, every system balanced. Imagine it as light, a sacred geometry of harmony, glowing brighter than the sun, yet soft upon your vision. With each repetition of every cell, nerve, and tissue of my body is filled with divine life, see this blueprint merge with your body, infusing it with its flawless design. Where disorder exists, watch it dissolve before the purity of this pattern. As shadows vanish before dawn, the subconscious responds most powerfully to images, its natural language. Words gain power when joined with vivid pictures. That is why this blueprint visualization is so effective. It gives the inner mind a clear model to follow. You are not asking it to guess what health means. You are showing it in detail. And because the subconscious is in constant dialogue with every cell, it immediately begins aligning the body to match. This work may call forth resources you didn't realize you had. It may activate immune responses, hormonal balance, and cellular renewal, all quietly while you sleep. Do not concern yourself with how. That is not your task. Your task is to hold the image, keep the blueprint steady, and saturate it with the feeling of wholeness. Like an architect who trusts the builder, you must trust the infinite mind within to know exactly how to construct the result. With time, persistence, and faith, the body you see in the mirror will conform to the inner design, and you will witness the evidence of the whispers planted in silence. Affirmation to carry forward. The divine blueprint of perfect health is restored in me now. Every cell aligns with the pattern of life, light, and wholeness. Now let us turn to a living example, for nothing confirms truth more clearly than seeing it alive in another's experience. There was a woman named Evelyn, a quiet soul whose life had been narrowed by the grip of chronic illness that drained color from her days. For years, she endured a cycle of small improvements followed by crushing setbacks, each one reinforcing her belief that she was fragile. She had read about healing prayers and affirmations, but dismissed them as too simple, too unscientific to touch the depth of her pain. When she came to me, her eyes carried both longing and resignation, the hope that wished to believe but was weary from disappointment. I told her plainly, you are giving your subconscious two sets of instructions. You desire health, yet you identify with sickness. You whisper hope, but you shout fear. No wonder your body is confused. It is trying to obey two masters. I then gave her a simple task. For 30 nights before sleep, she was to rest quietly, hand over her heart, breathing slowly and gently whisper, every cell, nerve and tissue of my body is filled with divine life now. No forcing results. No anxious measuring. Only the steady planting of that seed in silence. The first week, she noticed deeper sleep and more vivid dreams. By the second, she awoke with a soft current of energy she hadn't felt in years. Not dramatic, but steady and real. By the third, long-standing discomforts began to fade quietly. The heaviness in her body lightened, the aches in her joints eased. She did not dwell on them. She simply continued the whisper as naturally as brushing her teeth. On the 30th night, she told me, for the first time in my life, my body and mind feel in agreement. I see now that I had been living as two people, the one who longed for health and the one who expected sickness. Now, I am only the one who knows she is being made whole. Over time, the condition that once ruled her life faded into a distant memory. It was replaced by a calm strength and the realization that her health was not something to battle for, but something to allow and express from within. Her story is not a rare miracle. It is the natural outcome of aligning words, images, and emotions, and impressing them upon the subconscious when it is most open to receive. The quiet whisper before sleep is not superstition. It is magic, in the sense of universal law working with certainty once the right conditions are present. Her body did not need fixing from the outside. It only needed to remember its original design and receive clear, steady instructions. Once it did, it responded with the same precision and faithfulness that the infinite placed within every cell. Affirmation to carry forward. I am whole. I am restored. I am one with the divine life that renews me. Now let us consider the framework of deliberate practice. The subconscious depends not only on clarity, but also on consistency. A single seed, no matter how flawless, will never yield a harvest if planted once and forgotten. It is the repeated planting, the regular watering, and the patient tending that turn potential into growth. In the same way, your nightly whisper gains strength each time it is spoken with focus and intention. Over a series of nights, it saturates the subconscious so deeply that the new pattern becomes inevitable. For this reason, I share with you the 7-night healing program, a simple yet powerful way to impress the truth of health upon your inner mind until it becomes your lived reality. On the first night, you prepare the inner soil. This is not a time for dramatic declarations or complex rituals. Instead, it is the night to gently let your subconscious know that change is beginning. Close your eyes before sleep, breathe deeply, and softly whisper your affirmation. Every cell, nerve, and tissue of my body is filled with divine life now. Repeat this 10 times, slowly and tenderly, as if speaking to a beloved child. The aim here is not force, but gentle familiarity, an introduction that allows the subconscious to carry it into the quiet hours of rest. On the second and third nights, you deepen the impression with imagery. As you whisper, picture a warm golden light flowing through your body, touching each part mentioned in your affirmation. This transforms your words from abstract ideas into clear inner instructions. By the 4th night, the whisper will begin to feel habitual. At this stage, add emotional depth. Speak as though the words are already true, letting gratitude and relief rise within you. Feel the release of the old and the joy of the new with every repetition. The 5th night is for reinforcement during the day. At least 3 times, pause briefly in your routine, close your eyes, and repeat your affirmation once or twice. This ensures that by night, your subconscious has been reminded gently all day long. On the sixth night, practice surrender. After your whisper, rest in stillness for several minutes, as if floating on the current of the healing life you've invoked. Allow the subconscious to carry on its work without interference. On the seventh night, complete the cycle with thanksgiving. Before sleep, write a short note of gratitude to the infinite healing presence within you, thanking it for the restoration already underway. Then, with gratitude still alive in your heart, speak your affirmation one final time for the week and drift into sleep, knowing that the law of belief is active. When this program is repeated week after week, the results are profound. The subconscious, once filled with conflicting or destructive patterns, becomes a reservoir of healing energy, overflowing into the body as renewed vitality, balance, and strength. Affirmation to carry forward. With each night of practice, my subconscious accepts more deeply the truth of perfect health, and my body reflects that truth. Yet even as you practice the nightly whisper, remember that the subconscious never stops working. It shapes your body and circumstances not only in those quiet moments before sleep, but also in your daily thoughts and words. If at night you plant seeds of health, but by day you speak in self-pity, complaint, or fear, you are asking the subconscious to build and destroy at the same time. This is why adding daytime whispers is vital. These do not need to be elaborate, nor spoken aloud. What matters is that they are sincere, brief, and consistent. As you walk through your day while waiting, moving, or resting, repeat softly, "Divine life flows through me now," or "Every cell in my body rejoices in perfect health." Each repetition is like a drop of pure water on fertile soil. One drop may not seem to matter, but over time, the soil grows rich and abundant. The beauty of these mini whispers is that they do not require the drowsy state of night. They serve as gentle reminders, anchoring the subconscious in the reality of health. Each repetition is a way of telling the inner mind, "This is the truth I choose. This is the pattern I reinforce." Like a sculptor returning to refine a statue, these subtle touches throughout the day shape the final masterpiece. Gradually, the old reflex of focusing on symptoms will fade. In its place will rise an automatic leaning toward renewal and strength. You will catch yourself breathing more deeply, standing more upright, sensing an inner current of life that was not there before. The subconscious has aligned the body to the truth it has heard, hour after hour, day after day. And because your message has been consistent, it has no reason to doubt or follow a conflicting plan. Affirmation to carry forward. With every thought and whisper, I strengthen the truth of divine life within me, and my body answers with health and joy. Still, it is essential to guard against neutralization. Many people begin their practice with enthusiasm, only to weaken it by allowing opposing words and thoughts to undo their work. The subconscious does not argue or analyze. It simply accepts the dominant pattern it is given. If at night you affirm radiant health, but by day you talk about your pain to anyone who asks, you are essentially erasing your own progress. This does not mean you must deny your body's current state, but you should avoid feeding the conditions you want to change. There is a difference between acknowledging a fact and magnifying it. The wise healer notices the cloud, but keeps the mind focused on the sun behind it. Idle conversation is one of the most common ways people neutralize their progress. When asked, "How are you feeling today?" it may be tempting to list every symptom in detail, but these spoken with emotion act as affirmations themselves, affirmations of the very state you wish to dissolve. The subconscious treats them no differently than intentional affirmations. Instead, train yourself to respond with words that support your healing. Phrases like, "I am improving every day," or "the life of God is at work in me now. Neither deny your present experience nor reinforce it. They gently redirect both your mind and the listeners toward healing. By keeping your speech in harmony with your nightly whisper, you give the subconscious a steady, uninterrupted stream of instruction. The power of the whisper lies not only in the words, but in the agreement of your words, thoughts, and feelings. When they align, they create a momentum no opposing force can resist. Affirmation to carry forward. I speak only words that affirm the health I claim, and my subconscious magnifies this truth within me. Finally, consider the role of sound. Sound has always been one of the most powerful carriers of suggestion. Long before writing, humans used chants, drums, and lullabies to soothe the body and shape the mind. The subconscious responds especially well to tone and rhythm, and when combined with intention, they can strengthen your nightly whisper. This is why soundscapes or gentle music can be a helpful aid in your practice. When preparing for your whisper, before sleep, you might choose soft instrumental music, calming ambient tones, or recordings of nature, like rainfall, ocean waves, or rustling trees. These guide the conscious mind into rest and create a receptive state for the subconscious. The sound should not distract or pull you outward. It should act as a steady current, carrying your words deeper into your mind. When your whisper rides on this current, it becomes more than words. It becomes a song of truth. The steady rhythm of soft music works like a pendulum, guiding the brain into slower, receptive states where affirmations are absorbed more fully. In this state, the whisper becomes almost ceremonial, no longer just your voice, but a sacred utterance carried by sound itself. Some individuals discover that their chosen affirmation naturally blends with the rhythm or pulse of background music, creating a gentle repetition that continues inwardly, even after the words are no longer spoken aloud. You might also try recording your own voice, speaking the affirmation in a calm, rhythmic tone, then playing it softly as you fall asleep. Hearing your own voice steady, confident, and filled with trust reinforces the sense that the words are already a truth within you. Over nights and weeks, this repeated pairing of sound and suggestion forms a strong link in the subconscious. The sound itself becomes a cue for the healing state you have cultivated, so that even without the whisper, the tone brings back the feeling of renewal and wholeness. When the whisper rides upon sound, the conscious mind has fewer chances to interrupt or doubt the message. The tones act like a quiet guard, keeping stray thoughts away while the affirmation gently settles deeper. In this way, music and sound do not replace the whisper but amplify its reach, embedding it further into the patterns of your mind and body. Affirmation to carry forward. My healing words ride upon waves of sound into the depths of my being, where they are received and fulfilled in perfect harmony. Once the whisper has been spoken, the image formed, and the emotion felt, one final essential step remains: sealing the envelope. This is the moment you release the affirmation completely into the care of your subconscious, trusting it to complete the work without interference. Too often, people make the mistake of digging up the seed too soon, uttering healing words, but then allowing doubt, impatience, or analysis to undo them. Sealing the envelope is the conscious decision to let go, to hand the message to the infinite healing presence within, knowing it will be delivered. Visualize this act clearly. Picture your whispered affirmation as a beautiful handwritten letter, folded into an envelope of golden light. See yourself addressing it to the infinite healing presence or the subconscious mind, then placing it into a radiant white mailbox or handing it to a trusted messenger, perhaps an angel or a figure of light, who assures you of its safe arrival. Once this is done, the matter is settled. You do not follow the messenger. You do not stand waiting. You turn away and rest, confident that the process is already in motion. This mental ritual serves two purposes. It sets a boundary in your awareness between planting the message and resting in trust, and it tells the subconscious that no further conscious interference will come. The subconscious thrives in the absence of contradiction. By fully releasing the message, you create a clear channel for its expression. It is as though you have locked the signal in the deepest chamber of your being, where it radiates its instruction through your body and life until results appear. Sealing the envelope also strengthens your trust in the law of mind. It shifts your role from trying to control outcomes to collaborating with a wisdom greater than the conscious self. In this way, the nightly whisper becomes not only a method of healing, but a practice of surrender, bringing a peace that lingers long after. Lights are out. Even before evidence appears, you begin to feel a quiet shift in your favor. That calm certainty itself becomes a powerful magnet for fulfillment, affirmation to carry forward. I release my healing word into the infinite with trust and peace, knowing it is received, acted upon, and fulfilled. Now we step into one of the most transformative parts of this process, creating a multisensory healing movie on the inner screen of your mind before sleep. Words alone hold power, but when combined with vivid imagery, felt sensations, and imagined sounds, they leave a deep imprint on the subconscious, so real it seeks expression in your outer life. The mind does not distinguish between what is vividly imagined and what is physically experienced. The same neural pathways are activated, the same biochemicals released. By envisioning a scene of complete health and living within it each night, you invite your body to align with that reality until it becomes natural. Begin with a simple, joyful scene in which you experience full health. It may be walking by the sea, waves brushing your feet as you breathe freely. It may be playing with children, their laughter mingling with your own. It may be dancing, gardening, or climbing a hill at sunrise. Whatever evokes vitality and joy, choose it. Let this scene feel personal and emotionally rich, for the subconscious responds most deeply to emotion. Once chosen, immerse yourself fully. Close your eyes and imagine the colors, textures, scents, sounds, and sensations. Feel your muscles working easily, your breath smooth, your movements fluid. Let joy and gratitude swell until they seem to radiate from you. As you dwell in this state, softly repeat your whisper. Every cell, nerve, and tissue of my body is filled with divine life. The words and images merge into one directive. This is who I am. This is my reality. Remain in your healing movie for several minutes, savoring the details until they carry into sleep. The subconscious will replay this movie through the night, impressing its pattern at every level of your being. In time, just as a film projects onto a screen, your healing vision will be projected into your waking life. Affirmation to carry forward. I live in the vivid reality of my perfect health, and my body joyfully expresses the life I see and feel within. Once your healing movie is complete, the next step is the looping technique. Deliberate repetition of the scene before sleep, ensuring it becomes the dominant impression carried into the subconscious. The subconscious responds not only to intensity, but to repetition. A single vivid image cannot equal the impact of one replayed several times in the fertile twilight before rest. To practice, lie in bed and replay your scene exactly as you created it, with all senses engaged. At the high point, where joy and certainty peak, let it fade, then gently return to the beginning. Flow through again, perhaps adding a detail or letting emotions deepen. With each loop, the scene grows richer, the feeling more natural, the sense of this is me unshakable. Repeat 3 to 5 times without strain, letting it feel like a beloved ritual. If your mind wanders, guide it back gently. The key is that Your final impression before sleep is not worry, but this crafted vision of health, repeated until it feels as real as the ground beneath you. When practiced consistently, looping trains the subconscious to accept the scene as reality. It then works steadily to align the body's systems with the repeated image. Just as water shapes stone through constant contact, your scene reshapes your inner being. Over time, moments from your healing movie begin to appear in daily life, not as imagination but as lived experience, affirmation to carry forward. I joyfully replay the vision of my perfect health until it becomes the living pattern my body now expresses. Now, as we come to the nightly benediction, the practice reaches its conclusion and release. This final act brings together whisper, imagery, feeling, breath, and surrender into one integrated ritual. It is the moment you gather the fruits of the day's practice and place them wholly in the infinite healing presence. In these last quiet minutes before rest, nothing more is needed but to relax in the certainty that the work is already complete in the unseen, and its appearance is assured. Lie back with a sense of resting in divine love. Let your breath slow, the chest rising and falling like a calm tide. Whisper softly, every cell, nerve, and tissue of my body is filled with divine life. As you say it, allow your inner movie of perfect health to arise, walking, breathing, moving with vitality. Let this merge with your breath, your heartbeat, your body's warmth. Feel the words saturating you like sunlight on the earth. Then let the whisper fade into silence while the image remains, as though recalling a memory always yours. Let gratitude arise naturally, filling your mind and space around you. In that fullness, place your affirmation and gratitude into the care of the subconscious, like handing a gift to a trusted friend. Allow peace to carry you into rest. This benediction is your blessing to yourself, and the blessing the infinite returns to you. You need not know the details of how healing unfolds. The seed is planted, the soil is fertile, and the harvest inevitable. As you drift into sleep, imagine each breath carrying life into every part of you, restoring according to the perfect pattern within. Affirmation to carry forward. I rest in divine healing. It is done, and my whole being rejoices in the life within. Me finally seal this journey with a commitment, the 21-night covenant. For the next 21 nights, practice your nightly whisper with visualization, breathing, emotion, looping, and benediction. Guard your words during the day, reinforcing them with whispers, and protect your inner garden from doubt or complaint. 21 nights is a complete cycle of renewal, long enough to establish a firm subconscious pattern. Each night is a step toward embodying perfect health. Make this commitment not to me, but to yourself and the infinite within. Say, for the next 21 nights, I will speak my healing word before sleep and live in harmony with it by day. I will trust the process, celebrate, progress, and remain steadfast in faith. Write this if you wish, and keep it as a reminder. As days pass, you may notice subtle changes: deeper sleep, steadier energy, lighter mood. These are signs of inner work taking root. By the end of 21 nights, the ritual will no longer feel like effort but like breathing. As natural as the turning of the earth, healing will be woven into your life, flowing day and night, no longer practiced but lived. You will radiate it, and perhaps even share it with others as a living testimony. So let this covenant begin, a sacred agreement with the infinite healing presence. Keep it faithfully, and you will see its effects not only in your body, but in your soul. Share it as a gift, for what you give in truth returns multiplied. Final affirmation. I commit my mind and heart to this practice for 21 nights, and I live now in the certainty of my perfect health.